drops, then they're positive for Trendelenburg. Trendelenburg, you're looking for weakness on the contralateral side. So if this is weak, this part of the pelvis is not able to raise up. So what will happen is weakness, this will drop. It's hard to do it, huh?
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah. Okay?
They raise one, and it's just.
Right, if they lift up one leg, but the side that they lift up sinks down, then if that hip drops, then it's a positive. The next one is the Lockman test. Go ahead and lay on your back. Now, the Lockmans and the anterior drawer test are virtually the same test. You've heard of the anterior drawer test before? Okay, so you put one leg, here we'll do this one. Never mind, we'll do this, so switch. Okay, the anterior drawer test. You put the leg here at 90 degrees, and you pull here on the tibia. Okay, if the tibia moves forward, then it's a positive for the anterior drawer test, which means that they have an ACL tear. Okay, the Lockmans is the same thing except between 0 to 30 degrees. So if you're at 0 degrees and I go like this and their tibia pops up, then it's positive as well. Okay? So after this is all said and done, since you guys are all masticating in public, I'm gonna start asking you guys questions and you gotta answer what each one does. Okay, the next one is the posterior drawer or the SAG or Godfrey's test. The posterior drawer is just like the anterior drawer. You put them in this position, but instead of pulling anteriorly, you push posteriorly and you'll see this whole tibia sag down, okay? The SAG test is basically what it is. Put them here at 90-90, and then you'll see this just drop, okay? Or you can also add a little bit of pressure here, but usually it'll just drop on its own, okay? So that's the SAG test, because you lift the leg and their knee sags. The next two are the varus and the valgus test. Okay? The varus test. Let's go here. Which direction is varus?
Out.
Varus is not out.
Oh, you mean the head.
So if I bring his tibia out, that's excessive valgus. If I bring his tibia in, that's excessive varus. Think of varus as bow-legged, like riding a horse. Okay? Most women tend to have excessive what?
Knee.
Valgus. All right, DK. Pay attention. Okay. Right here, in order to test for this, you have to find the joint space with your fingers. So I need you guys to work on palpating and learning how to find that joint space. So you put them right in here, okay? So poke right in here. You'll feel there's a little gap, a tiny little gap right there, okay? So you put them in slight flexion, usually between 0 and 30 degrees. And then for valgus, I'm going to put pressure here and go here. This is for valgus. And I can feel the gap. If I feel the gap get bigger, then it's a positive test. For varus, you do the same thing, but you do this way, okay? And I'm feeling the outside edge with my thumb. Find that little spot. Okay? So positive varus or valgus, you'll see the leg actually move. So you'll put your finger on the joint space, and a positive sign, you'll see the gap. You can feel the gap open up. And you'll get like that much movement. Okay? All right. The next one you guys need to know is called the Apley's test. So lay on your tummy. The Apley's test, you bring the person into 90 degrees of flexion, you're gonna push down and you're going to rotate. Okay? What this is a test for is a test for meniscus problems. Okay, so by rotating, you should elicit pain. Okay? What was this called?
Apples.
Athletes. Okay. Go ahead and lay on your back. Okay. Now this one is a tough one. This is McMurray's test. Okay. This is also for meniscus. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read through it first, and then I'm gonna have you demonstrate it. Okay. So first position is a supine with the clinician's hand to the side of the patella, and the other hand grasping. Let's see. With the lateral joint line, so right here, okay, and then the other hand is to palpate the medial joint line and apply valgus stress to the knee through the arm and the elbow of the medial hand. So going into here, now a positive test is excessive gaping of the joint when compared to the contralateral side. So if I'm going into valgus, I'm going to go into here, apply pressure here, and feel this gap, or I'm going to go this way, apply pressure this way, and feel there's a gap here. So this is basically like the varus and valgus one. This is just both of them combined. This is McMurray's. Okay. Now the difference is, let's see. So with McMurray's, what you do is you end up going here. Sorry, that was the valgus test. So McMurray's, you start here, and then you work on internal rotation and adduction, and you work on extension, and that checks for valgus. For the other McMurray's test, you go external rotation, you put your thumb in the joint line, and you work on external rotation and extension. Okay, if you elicit pain, then you have medial or lateral meniscus tears. Okay, that's the McMurray's. My apologies. The other thing to do is to check for leg discrepancies, the other test. So what I do is I go ahead and bend your knee for me. Okay, put their feet together, lift up your bottom, do a bridge, back down, go here, okay? And you check for leg length discrepancies. Now, one thing you can do is, give me that gray strap. If you have a measuring tape, you can measure the true leg length by palpating the PSIS and going on to the medial malleolus. Okay? Yeah. The apparent leg length, you start at the belly button to the lateral malleolus, or medial malleolus, on both. Okay? The true leg length is from the PSIS, or ASIS. To the medial, yeah, you go across. Okay? Something else you guys want to do is whenever you're doing this, you want to palpate both ASIS, and you want to make sure that they're parallel. A lot of times you'll palpate and one will be off, okay? And then that'll appear to have a leg length discrepancy. Okay. The other one we're going to test for is called the windlass test. Windlass, or WINDLASS. Okay, windlass test. Let's go ahead and have you sit up for me. Sit right on the edge. So the windlass test is a check for plantar fasciitis. Go ahead and take off your shoe for me. guys turn on the AC? I think the last group turned, huh? Yeah, can you check the AC? Make sure you guys turn it on. Okay, so the windlass test. Hold on. Don't all get up at once. Okay.
You got any more Pringles?
So the windlass test is you're testing for plantar fasciitis. What you'll do is you have them float here. There's two ways of doing it. One here, and then you'll put them into dorsiflexion and extend their big toe. Okay? Yeah, this is flex your big toe. So you're gonna extend the big toe, and if you cause pain, that's a positive for the windlass test. Another way to check it is to have them stand. So go ahead and stand up for me. Have them stand and then pull up on their big toe. Just like that. Okay, and if they go, ow, then it's a positive. All right, the Thompson test, which is different than the Thomas test. Which one was the Thomas test? The Thomas test is one you lay on your back, bring your knee to your chest, and you let the leg hang over. Okay? And if this knee tip comes up, then it's positive for tight hip flexors. The Thompson test, you lay prone. Okay? No. You lay prone, and you bend the knee to 90 degrees, and you squeeze the calf. What you're looking for is to see if this foot comes up. See how when you squeeze it goes like that? Okay? A positive test, you would have no movement here, and that indicates an Achilles rupture.
Oh.
Okay? Now, the Holman sign, go ahead and lay on your back. The Holman sign is to check for DVT. Okay? So let's say we're suspecting that this leg has a DVT. What you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the calf here, just light squeeze and put them into dorsiflexion. Okay? If they scream bloody murder, chances are that they have a positive for DVT. Other ways to check is if they have a DVT, this is gonna be red. It's gonna be hot to touch, and it's gonna be very tender. Okay? That's called a Holman sign. Okay? I've done that actually several times, and I've been right 90% of the time. But it's always good to err on the side of caution.
Natalie has a question.
I have a question. Would it be hard? Like, will there be a lump?
No,
Feel
it won't be a lump.
Just tender?
You'll squeeze and it'll hurt.
Okay.
It'll just be like, ow, because what's happening is you're squeezing you're squeezing the vein closed, and that's pushing against the clot.
Okay.
So the clot's sharp, it'll cause pain. Okay. The other one is a vertebral artery test. So let's scoot that way just there. Yeah. No, too far. Right there. So put it bend your knees. With the vertebral artery test, is to check if they're having any issues with the vertebral artery. So in this test, it takes a while. It takes at least 30 seconds to do. Actually, if you do them both sides, it takes a minute. So what you do is you support their head and neck. Okay. And then what you'll do is you'll bring them to extension here and rotate one direction about 45 degrees. And you're gonna hold that there for 30 seconds, making sure that they're talking to you. So how are you doing?
I'm doing swell.
Okay, any dizziness or discomfort?
I'm perfect.
Okay, while you're doing this, you're gonna be looking at their eyes, making sure that, let's talk about Willis. If you notice any type of pupil dilation, any type of shaking, anything like that can give you a positive test. And the reason why you want them talking for a good 30 seconds is because it's possible that they can pass out if you're positive for this. So you turn here, and if this doesn't elicit a positive test, you rotate the other side 45 degrees. And you continue, you support them, you continue looking at their face, looking at their eyes, making sure that you're not getting any pupil dilation, okay? And so you also wanna make sure that they're talking to you. Right now I'm talking to you guys, so I'm not really doing the test right. So they can tell you a story or tell me about you, headaches, whatever, okay? So that is a positive.
So what happens when they pass out?
Well, if you don't want them to pass out, but if that's what's happening, then you need to make sure that that issue gets resolved. A lot of times you get swelling of the neck. Any type of neck movement can cause impingement of that artery. Okay. So that is called the vertebral artery test.
Omar, is that the test that you did on that woman who hit the back of her head?
Mhm.
Okay.
And she tested positive. We didn't even have to get that far. We just got her into extension, and all of a sudden, how she went. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read this to you, and then we're gonna perform it, okay? So this was called Gillies March Test. This is to assess innominate mobility. So, we're gonna have him stand, and then while standing, we're gonna palpate the inferior aspect of the right PSIS with one thumb and the medial sacral crest, or S2, at the level of the PSIS with the other thumb. And then what we're doing is we're gonna have him raise his hip to between 90 and 120 degrees and repeat it on the other side. What you should see, a normal, is you're gonna see that the lumbar spine will rotate, should be accompanied by right innominate rotation posteriorly and with sacral rotation, okay? And then you also, a plus sign, you'll see asymmetrical PSIS movement, or popping or clicking or reproduction of pain. So, let's stand up and we'll turn around, okay? And so we're gonna palpate the PSIS here and here. Do me a favor, hold that up. There we go. I'm gonna pull this down just a hair. So PSIS, there we go. Here's one, here's the other. So what I want you to do is I want you to lift up your right leg for me and back down. Try the left one. You just gotta march. So pretend you're marching. Okay? So what you should notice, with him actually don't get a lot of rotation, but you should notice that as they come up, your thumbs will begin to rotate. Okay? A positive test will be asymmetric rotation or clicking and popping. And that happens a lot. So you actually feel it in your thumb, the grinding. Okay? That is called the Gillies March Test. Let me see. The Gillies March Test. Okay? And that is the test for just different mobilities. It's inanimate mobility. Now, the next two are gonna be several tests combined into one. Okay? So let's go ahead and lay on your tummy. This is the prone knee bending test, okay? And it's a test different nerve involvement. What will happen is when you do this test, you can isolate which nerve could be involved in the injury that they have. First one is straight back. Okay, so if I go knee flexion straight back, and they're having numbness, tingling, whatever, then it's possible that it's a femoral nerve that's causing some of the issues, okay? If I go hip adduction with knee flexion, then we're more likely getting into the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve involvement. If we go with hip abduction, external rotation, knee extension with ankle dorsiflexion and eversion here, okay? Saphenous nerve involvement. So when you get the person to this position and they're having symptoms, numbness, radiating pain, tingling, anything like that, that can be a positive sign for the saphenous vein, or saphenous nerve, sorry. Okay? The next one is in supine. Go ahead and lie down. Here we're gonna. So this next one, this has 4 different tests in this one position. Okay, this is a straight leg raise test. So first, obvious one, you're gonna do the straight leg raise test. Now once you're here, all right, let me bring you down, brought you up too far. Okay. So straight leg raise up with dorsiflexion, sciatic nerve. Okay. Straight leg raise up with hip adduction, with knee flexion. Let's see, hip adduction with knee flexion. No, that's supine. So, okay, no. So dorsiflexion, eversion, and toe extension. So here, dorsiflexion, eversion, and toe extension. Toe extension. So eversion, toe extension. Okay. This is going to give you a positive for the tibial nerve. Dorsiflexion, eversion, and toe extension is tibial nerve. Dorsiflexion, inversion is sural nerve. And then dorsiflexion, plantar flexion and eversion is going to give you the common peroneal nerve. Okay? So let's try it again. Do me a favor. You got 2 hands. So read that one right there. And we'll go through it.
Assess neutral mobility, basic SLR test position here.
Just see the little box at the bottom.
Okay, dorsiflexion, sciatic nerve.
So here, just dorsiflexion.
Okay,
That's sciatic nerve.
Dorsiflexion, eversion, and toe extension.
Eversion
Tibia nerve.
and toe extension. Okay. Is which nerve?
Tibia nerve.
Tibial. Okay. Next one.
And dorsiflexion and inversion, sural nerve.
So dorsiflexion and inversion is a sural nerve. And then the last one is dorsiflexion, or plantar flexion
Plantar flexion and inversion.
and inversion.
The
So
common,
here,
peroneal.
common peroneal. So in this position. Okay? Okay? So those are all the 4 of them. The last one, this is one of the most important ones. Okay? It's called the Hoover test. You heard of the Hoover test? What's the Hoover test? Right. So, Hoover test, you hold their ankles here and have them lift up one leg. Okay? Now, if they can't do it, and you're not feeling any pressure, any counter pressure on the other hand, then they're faking. Okay? They're malingering. They're pretending to be injured. Okay?
If they can't lift it?
So, if they can't lift it, it's natural. For example, go and lift up again. Okay? Every time you lift, I feel you push down with this leg. Okay? Try lift this one. So I feel you push down slightly with this leg. If you can't lift here, and I don't feel any counter pressure here, then you're faking it. You're just not
I
trying.
see. So like, if I'm just like, oh, I can't move it.
Right.
You should be feeling something.
I should be feeling some counter pressure. So that's a test that people created just to see if the person's, full of crap. This is used a lot in workers' comp cases. So it's something when you guys, sometimes you'll have a PT, hey, Can you do me a test? Can you check do the Hoover test on this guy? See if they're having any back pain with it? You go, oh yeah, the Hoover test. Yeah, sure, right away. Why is it called the Hoover test? Right. There we go. That's right. Okay. So the reason why we went over these is on your practical, you're going to get a diagnosis, okay, of a patient. There's going to be a test involved. So you got to know which test it is, what's it called. You got to be able to explain what it is and how to perform it and what's a positive and what's a negative. Okay? All right, buddy. You guys have any questions with this?
So that one you can do whether it's back pain or hip pain or whatever?
Right. It's usually back pain. Usually when people have workers' comp, it's back-related injuries.